it just feels like a lot of shame, just years of shame and humiliation and betrayal of your body.
Talks about being in the same loop of constant war with toxicity and cheating, Hollywood actress Gabrielle Union finally speaks up about her messy years of relationship with the famous basketball star Dwayne Wade.
And I tried to put around it. I tried to break up with her. And, hey, things has been bad lately. Hey, we've been having a little distance in our relationship anyway. Like, I tried all that.
Right.
She kept showing up.
Meanwhile, Dwayne Wade is now also trying to go his separate ways with Gabrielle. What has led the power couple to arrive at such conclusions of separation and the various speculations linked to cheating and abuse? Well, you heard it right. There are a lot of emotional roller coasters in this matter, and we are just on the way to uncovering issues and controversies that will allow you to arrive at shady answers. Let's first begin with the central role in this drama, Dwayne Wade. Not only is he in the Hall of Fame for making precise shots at the basket, but he also managed to present a promise ring to his now wife, Gabrielle Union. The reason he calls her now wife is that he's confused about having multiple partners and children with his former wives. For some who might not know, Dwayne Wade's past issues with his former wife were among his rough days, facing multiple custody allegations, now resurfaced shady messages.
So once D. Wade got to Miami, the relationship started getting rocky. Siohvaughn claims that he was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive to her, and that he was a serial cheater.
Speaking of his former relationship with her high school sweetheart named Siohvaughn Funches, it wasn't really good, but in fact was traumatizing for the girl. But why? Despite being his first wife and being together since Dwayne was only 9 years old, the relationship escalated to a scandalous moment. According to Siohvaughn, she was left traumatized because Dwayne cheated on her. She also added in her statement that she was physically and emotionally abused. Well, it must have been tough for her to be put in that situation and also be away from her children. Speaking of their children, their kids' issue was also a highlight back in 2022. Just so you know, Dwayne Wade had already settled his messy divorce issues at that time. But of course, another thing haunts him again when Siohvaughn crept into his life by filing for custody regarding their child. So, okay, for us to have a clearer sense of this picture, let's go back once again to where the drama first started. We now have a few insights into how Dwayne successfully retrieved his child from Siohvaughn. This story dates back to a few years ago when chaos wrecked the peak height career of the NBA star.
Siohvaughn Funches, ex-wife of NBA star Dwayne Wade, publicly accuses Wade of abuse and neglect.
I got 3 months of child support and about a 6-year period. And now I sit here today with nothing left.
The first wife fearlessly showed up at one of Dwayne Wade's games. Despite Siohvaughn creating a scene outside, she stood up, accusing Dwayne of selling off their transgender child. Multiple headlines were all over the media before. Not only did his former wife accuse him of selling off their child Zaya, formerly called Zion, but a clip also hinted back at the accusation that Dwayne also physically abused their child.
He said, listen, you just got custody of the kids. It's like, what? You just got custody of the kids.
More claims against Dwayne Wade followed during the custody case, including that he was abusive to his children.
And that is what the mother is trying to defend.
And I see Dwayne Wade ain't paid child support at all. And I was telling him, even if you hate me, this is your flesh and blood.
There are a lot of stories out there that describe you as really volatile.
You have every right to fight for your children.
However, after multiple trials, the story was reverted back to Siohvaughn losing the case and being arrested for abducting their children.
Siohvaughn was arrested and charged with attempted child abduction.
I'm saying that because of the artist that I just spoke to not that long ago that got invited to a party at their house. Everything was cool up front till they went to the back and there was a bunch of old and young boys back there all naked in the Wade house.
What a shocking revelation, isn't it? So what exactly was going on at Dwayne's house? According to the testimonies of various witnesses, the area was so filthy that condoms were all over the place. They also hired some dancers and invited some rappers, and it was all filled with gay individuals. Apart from this, it has also something to do with Siohvaughn's accusations to Dwayne that he's selling off their child Zaya. Dwayne, known as a party geek, exposed Zaya at such a very young age to this kind of event. So what do you think? Is the accusation of his ex-wife on point with this revelation? Besides, this clip also throws shade, inferring Dwayne to himself that he could actually be bisexual.
When it hit my doorstep at 3 years old, like I said, when me and my wife looked at each other, right? And the reason we looked at each other is because of this, as kids, I used to put on heels. I used to do all those things. I try to put on whatever my sisters wear. When one of my sisters did, I try to do those things. So at first I said to myself, oh no, I did that.
Way to go. Although Dwayne got out of the pit of controversies about this speculation, it only piles up as we move on to one of his former relationships again. Well, just a disclaimer, this is not just about ex-partners. We're going to arrive at the present and connect all the pieces of the issue together. To pick up where we left off about his ex-wife, it was the year 2007 when Dwayne and Siohvaughn divorced, and the legal proceedings concluded in 2013. It was also in this year when Gabrielle had to cope with the issues of her husband. For you to not scratch your heads not fully understanding the messy timeline of Dwayne's relationships, let's just have background information about the current wife. Dwayne and Gabrielle officially publicized their romance in 2010, while Dwayne was still having a tough time sorting out his divorce from Siohvaughn. What a kind gesture of Gabrielle for accepting Dwayne despite the unsolved baggage he was facing. However, eventually, the power couple's story turned upside down when they decided to take a brief break at the beginning of 2013. After this so-called negotiation of a brief break between the two, there's this kind of unexpected plot twist that will leave you astounded. In the blink of an eye, Dwayne started seeing another woman, and the shocking news is, she got pregnant. Her name is Siohvaughn Funches, and she had an association with basketball stuff since Siohvaughn is also a star on a reality TV show about basketball players' wives. She gave birth to Xavier in November 2013. I know, things are getting way too fast, isn't it? To think that Dwayne got another girl pregnant after the short break he had with his current wife Gabrielle. But wait, you might be confused about why Gabrielle still accepted Dwayne to this point in time. To add another twist to the story, you might be more shocked if I tell you that Gabrielle and Dwayne got back together just months after Dwayne impregnated Matoyer. Yes, you heard it right. In fact, Gabrielle and Dwayne finally tied the knot the following year, which was in 2014. It's kind of weird, right? How they settled and both moved on from their issues. Well, you can't blame Gabrielle for wanting to be loved, because according to her, all she ever wanted was to receive a proposal ring from the guy of her dreams. That is why she accepted the proposal from Dwayne. Fast forward to 2021, when realizations finally sank in for Gabrielle about how she suffered and stooped down low for Dwayne. Her emotions came spilling out as she pointed out in her book entitled You Got Anything Stronger about what she felt throughout their relationship. She stated that if she were the woman that she is today, she would not have stayed with Dwayne after he cheated on her. Aside from this, Gabrielle also expressed her feelings when she first learned that Dwayne fathered another woman's child. But after all these issues, Gabrielle didn't hold any grudge towards parenting Dwayne's children with another woman. She also added in her book, to say I was devastated is to pick a word from a low shelf for convenience. She added, there are people, strangers I will never meet, who have been upset that I have not previously talked about that trauma. I have not had words, and even after untold amounts of therapy, I am not sure I have them now. Meanwhile, Dwayne stated in an interview that he and Gabrielle were having a tough time conceiving a child, and that he described it as tougher than winning an NBA Finals. If you haven't heard the news, the two couples went through a lot of trials to have their own baby. After multiple miscarriages, they finally had a baby in 2017, but it was through surrogacy. And so the story resurfaced when Dwayne was just recently interviewed on September 21st about wanting to split up with Gabrielle. But oh well, guess what? The conclusion ended up wrapping the whole story that after all this time, Gabrielle still chose to stay. Well, if you're in Gabrielle's shoes, would you still choose to stay or leave? Share your thoughts by commenting down below. Also, don't forget to like and follow for more exclusive content. Thank you.